Hello and welcome back. Today we are continuing our Brazil run here in Victoria 3. Last episode we became a republic again, hence the new flag, and we had a bit of an interesting war with Great Qing that was a bit rough because we did not have they did not have a war goal on us, rather that allowed us to be enforced below zero, or that allowed us to stay from being enforced below zero. We couldn't really get there in time, and it seems that the naval landings just take forever to do between, fighting through their navy for several months, and then having 3 or 10 weeks roughly per battle, and you need 4 battles, and you need 4 battles won to get in. We really weren't able to enforce on them, and instead Russia left us because the war was initially Russia's. We should have put in the war ourselves. That way they would have had a war goal on us, and we could have enforced on them at our leisure. But that was kind of what happened. And so let's talk about what's going on this episode. This episode, we're probably going to be focused on 2 things, which is namely getting Great Britain out of South America, so it'll be all Brazil. Welcome to Brazil. And then also, in the interim, we put in a ton of stuff into the construction queue. We are really kind of cranking up a whole bunch of things, trying to cook up stuff, really expand the economy, and kind of meticulous in terms of how we were expanding this. A lot of this is going to areas where we don't have any of the good, and so for example, if we take a look at furniture, we'll see that in terms of earnings we have a bunch of these +1s all over the place, in particular in areas where it's going to be very profitable. In a few spots we are building up to economies of scale, so for example in Rio Grande do Sul, which has led production, building up to economies of scale on the glassworks, really expanding out clothing in quite a few places. We see 251s coming up here because we want to supply really the market. We are building more clothing in the queue than we actually have available. Clothing is an interesting one from this run because our basic clothing is very, very expensive. We're also, expanding out electricity, a whole bunch of these things, and we will be expanding out construction too, probably reaching up to 2K, maybe in that neighborhood. Construction's not really too tremendously useful, but we are trying to recomp our economy. Because while really, really early on, wood is incredibly great. You can see here we don't have a lot of peasants, so it's not the case that we need to get jobs, but wood is really, really great in the early game, but then it tends to fall off a little bit, and you won't even reach full employment, because wood is incredibly construction efficient. It only costs, 200 construction to make, and this is why it's really, really good when you have a lot of peasants. But when you start not having a lot of peasants, you can see here in Minas Gerais, we don't have, full employment on the wood, and the reason why is on a pop per pop basis, something like a tooling workshop is going to be more efficient. And so when I say we are recomping, we are kind of transitioning a lot of our economy towards away from the production of these resource things and more towards manufacturing itself, which tends to be more pop efficient. And so this is going to be something we're focused on, as we will probably try and kick the SOL up to 20, as well as get 1 billion GDP. I don't know if that's going to be possible over the course of this episode, but this is definitely going to be part of the goal. We are also about to finish macroeconomics, which I think is now one of the premier best texts in the game, because it's going to give you 5% MAPI, or market access price impact, which disaffects your ability to globalize. This is one of the reasons why us building level 51s when we don't really have local 51s in a lot of places makes a lot of sense. If we come to over here, we see that we're building up to a 51 in the furniture manufacturers, and we are getting economies of scale by building up tall. But the problem is, local price wise, this is going to create an absolute glut of furniture. And so if we take a look in Mato Grosso, and we look at local prices, and we can take a look at the furniture, we can see that the price locally is going to be cheaper than it is on the market. And the reason for this is because we're producing more chairs here than we are on average in the market, and so the price is going to be a little bit less, which is not something we want, because the less price means this thing will be less profitable, and this will be exacerbated when we build this up to 51. However, local prices, if we come in and we take a look again, and we take a look at this furniture, 95% of the price now that we've researched macroeconomics is informed by market price. So that's only 5% that's going to be informed by the glut, that's going to be pulled towards a minus 75% figure. The rest of the 95% is going to be informed by the market price, which is going to allow this building to be a lot more profitable. And so we are going to start really pushing economies of scale. Overall, the economics feels a lot slower in 1.5. I don't know if we've done an okay job here as Brazil, or a good job or what, but we've had a lot of whiff wars, so I imagine that overall you could do a much better run than this. But what we have done, or what we will be doing now, is we will be really pushing economies of scale, because so much of the price is going to be informed by the market price, that this price differential you see here is not going to be very large at all. You notice it's like single-digit percentages for the most part. The like big one standout is going to be sugar, but other than that, it's like very, very small differences in price. And so this is going to mean that everything's going to be more profitable. Also, when Mato Grosso, for example, is pulling in, you'll notice they're producing steel, right? When they're pulling in coal, the local price of coal will get pulled towards plus 75 because there's no coal production here. There's no coal production at all. But 95% of it is now informed by the market price, and so this is going to make it a lot more profitable. So this is absolutely one of the strongest techs in the entire game, and it's the first tier 5 tech we've pushed ahead of time in order to get. Now, we're not really that ahead of time, and perhaps our malaria prevention push ahead of time to secure most of Africa was a little bit more important, but this is why we've gone for it. It also unlocks companies, so it's spectacular. We've shifted gears, and we're going to be going radio next. The main reason is we have a ship PM that we cannot use because we need to have radios in the market in order to be able to build these boats. I don't think anyone else can produce it. Well, maybe we can just double check if we see if we can import radios. Nope, we can't import radios, not right now. Okay, and so we also get another company, and this company, man, we've had such a hard time hitting the prosperity bonus. We were really hoping once we get all electric trains that would increase the productivity of the railway enough to do it. Maybe we just need to build more sulfur and export that sulfur, something to this effect. But we have another option for a company, and we hadn't really prepared, what we were going to maybe get, and so maybe we'll take a little bit of a pause now, try and find a company we like, and then come back. Okay, so I think there's a few that stand out in particular for us here. One is we don't have currently a company for coal. We have a lot of coal in the queue. This is a little bit attractive. Also, moving back to this, long-term, almost certainly we'll want to go back to the rubber and logging, but right now we still have an absolute glut of these things. We have a ton. We have a bunch of these things not fully employed. And so this can really hold off until our economy grows quite a bit. And so scrolling down, I think it becomes a little bit about the steel conglomerate or the tools. These aren't really the best companies for us right now. I think we've been kind of emphasizing over the course of the last couple episodes that since we don't have a lot of labor available, that the construction is less useful than it normally is. And so while I think generic steel is a pretty good company, we're going to go with generic tools, mainly because just such a huge portion of our economy is in the tools. We don't mind the 5% army offense, but giving us throughput on this will make a lot of these industries just way, way, way more profitable. We also have a lot of tools spread out in various places, not really built up to economies of scale, and so the extra throughput on this is going to be really valuable for us. But if we take a look, overall in our urban, and we take a look at, well, what do we have built? We have a disgustingly high amount of tool workshops relative to everything else. The PM is just so efficient that we're exporting a lot of tools. Pretty sure if we check these trade routes and we look at volume, we will see, yes, a ton of wood, but then also a ton of tools. And we kind of have a bit of not quite a monopoly on, our ability to create these tools, because we have a ton of the rubber. We have a ton of the world's rubber because we've secured a ton of it in the Congo and such. But this PM is just so efficient, and we're going to continue to try and export tools. And in fact, once that 10% or once that throughput kicks in, you can see it ticking up here. Once this fully kicks in, I believe it needs to wait a week in order to kind of come on up. We should have an extra glut of tools, and we can try and export more tools yet again. Okay, for the radical Belgians. We're also keeping an eye on this because once Belgium fully occupies a radical Belgium, we might declare war on Belgium. So this will be exciting if we can get this done. Okay, so we see that soon here, Belgium is about to enforce on radical Belgium here. And so what we're going to do is, currently Belgium's only one state, and so going after them as a protectorate is going to be a little bit cheaper than it is normally. So we'll go to interactions, and we can make protectorate out of them. It'll only cost 11 infamy. Then they will hopefully finish this up with radical Belgium before this kind of pops, and And once they become a protectorate, they will actually be kind of consumed by the Confederation of the Rhine, because the conditions that they're in Rhineland or North German, or they have the North German culture or something like this. I think this is exactly the way it works. And so if we do this, we will be able to puppet the Belgium for 11 infamy, when normally protectorating them costs 22 infamy, not including the plays and the time it takes to do the other stuff. We are going to force the diplomatic play because we don't want them to back down, and we will be off in our way on them. Now, decent chance that they get helped out by the UK, so we do have to be a little bit careful of that. So we are going to send our 100 stack over, which is definitely overkill, but if they get help, it would not be overkill. And so we hope to see them enforce before... We hope to see them enforced before this kind of comes up. Maybe we timed it wrong, but I think they're going to enforce before we get the full mobilization chance, and we are not going to put in any other war goals because we don't want them to back down just yet. We want them to finish enforcing. They're getting 5 a tick, and usually they enforce around 80 or 90, and so I think that this timing was decent. Oh, maybe it's not. Okay, no, it is good. Okay, so the timing is good, and we have our off and away versus the full Belgium, which we will be getting for only 11 infamy here. We've been trying to do this for several episodes now, because they keep revving. So we are going to pull a little bit of a sneaky. The UK just almost always defends Belgium in these types of situations, but they can't defend Belgium if we're on the same side of a play as them. So we're going to come over here, and now Belgium, or sorry, the UK is not allowed to join against us over here on Belgium. Not allowed. Can't be done. Won't be done. We'll be getting them in for 11 infamy almost certainly, unless like France joins, but France is more likely to be relatively belligerent, and so we've been kind of waiting for an opportunity specifically when we could join on the side of, well, I think we could fight the UK now. I just think it would be a little bit rough. They have a much bigger navy than us, 2,300 power projection, and an army of 28k, and we have, half that and this, but I think that we might be able to like blitz them down, and we have more allies if they join against us rather than us declaring on the UK. However, we don't have to worry about any of that nonsense because they will not betray their dear friend who unilaterally supported them, in which they did not consent to that support, and because they didn't consent... okay, I guess we get the USA. Fair enough. So we'll set in for a bit of a war then. So we decided we wanted to punish the USA for what they did to us several episodes ago. The deep, deep war for the Americas, as it were. And we put in American war reparations, humiliate USA, liberate CSA, and we were like, you know what, this is probably a little bit too aggressive, but we could sway France into our side. I said we could sway France into our side. And we did that, and we were like, okay, with France, easy peasy, no problem. Easy peasy, no problem, he said. And then France goes and does this. Come on, my guy. What's this about? So we likely are going to try and sway onto France's side, but France is going to be much more capitulate heavy, kind of in this exchange. By the way, in this exchange, fairly likely to back down here is the Belgians, and we'd be okay with that outcome too. We wouldn't get to enforce anything on the USA here, but, this is not too big a deal. Liberating the CSA is... yeah, it is what it is, but all they want is regime change Sulu, which is just psychotic. We would be willing to give up this in exchange for, like, kind of anything. We're just kind of looking how they're moving the pieces around. They're really not putting anything on these fronts yet, mainly just concerned with defending the East Coast, and we have, our 100 stack is almost here, and when the 100 stack gets there, that should be looking pretty green for us. Belgium just backs down. A little bit anticlimactic. I apologize to you all. I thought we were going to have a royal rumble here. But we did call in our obligation on France, so that was costly. And do they not automatically get annexed here? I believe they're supposed to automatically get annexed. Maybe Belgium's not eligible in that one, which kind of makes... oh my, are they really not eligible? Let's take a look. Perhaps they are not eligible as part of the thing. I thought since they were in the Rhineland HQ for the purposes of, the Confederation of the Rhine, but maybe it's because Germany's already formed. I thought that you could annex them for freezies, good dealsies, but in either case, we get Belgium for 11 infamy, and they have really good companies there. The problem is we're not going to have enough time remaining in the game to actually make use of these companies, so this is definitely something that would have been much better early on. We're just going to see if we can sway in for anything. We could sway in for a bankroll, we could sway in for transfer states. Interesting. Interesting. I mean, there's probably nothing too crazy that we would want here. Kind of remaining, we would maybe want to clean up some borders, so we could go for Namaqualand if they are willing to give that, which they are not. West Indies, Corsica, you know, kind of stuff that's not worth too much. I think they're willing to give up. I thought we read up here, Heroland. Do you have any of Heroland? French Heroland. Okay. Well, this is something we could also trade to Russia maybe somewhere down the line, so it's not useless. And we're probably just going to abandon France because, you know, why would you join a war when you're just about to get dumped? So, you know, maybe we do something like that and just actually don't help them, or maybe we help them out. Something like this. But in any case, we did get Belgium for just 11 infantry, which is pretty nice. Okay, it's because they do not have North or South German as their primary culture. So we have subjects with North or South German primary cultures. We control unincorporated states, unclaimed North or German homeland states. And I guess these are not homeland of North or South German, but it's not the case for, you know, Confederation of the Rhine. So Confederation of the Rhine, or sorry, not Confederation of the Rhine, for the Netherlands. So the Netherlands just auto-forms Confederate of the Rhine, but we cannot actively expand the Confederation, it seems, you know, unless we were to get, like, something from Germany, and really actually just something from Germany, because, yeah, look at this. Look what they've done to our poor boy. Look at Austria-Hungary. They got this in Istria, and then they got Croatia here. Disgusting. It's juicy journal entry time. We're going to develop an Amazonian state. We're going to take a look here, and we're going to see in Goiás, which I think is over here. Oh, trust me to not know, you know, my geography of Brazil. I guess it's right here. This currently has this minus 30% modifier. Now, we are doing kind of all of these exploiting the Amazon things. Other than these railroads and these construction sectors, what's behind all this is rubber to kind of push these events through. We can get extra migration attraction. We'll say thank you. And we are going to lose this rainforest modifier and gain a much better one, which is only going to have 20%, you know, construction and infra negative modifier, and also 10% migration attraction. It will upgrade even further, and we are going to be pushing the rest of these today to 10% and 10% for the malices, but 20% for migration, 10% agriculture, and also retaining the building hardwood output modifier. So that's thing one. And thing two is promote European migration. Our incorporated pops are, oh, it's our South American incorporated population. Gotcha. We're going to promote migration here. And we're going to say welcome to Brazil, and they're going to migrate to Antofagasta. We are starting to get several mass migrations coming in. If we take a look and we look at the pop thing and we look at the attraction, we can see that is a lot of mass migrations, huh? And this is because we have really high SOL, right? This combined with, you know, various other modifiers are really driving a super high attraction. We are getting trade centers. We have it from Great Power. We have it from Teeming Shore, which is the event we got. And also, we have a ton of base rate from unused arable land, and now we're getting a ton of it from available employment. So even when you do run out of construction, it's not like it's completely, or even when construction becomes less useful, the ability to drive up this available employment modifier is something that's quite nice. And this is like really high migration attraction in some of these states. You know, it would be even higher if we promoted, you know, migration, but like, oh, we also even have one up here, which is perfect because we've been building a lot up here. The reason we've been building here is because of local price considerations, even though we're starting to like hit this globalization like breakpoint where we have you know, macroeconomics, and so we have the max mappy. We're starting to research here on compression ignition as well. This is because telephones was not spreading to us. As soon as telephones finishes, we'll research radio straight away, and we'll just take some progress on compression ignition, and we'll come back to it later. This is probably the best tier 5 tech, and so this is why we're doing it like this. Although I guess you can make an argument that arc welding would be kind of up our alley, considering what's going on in our economy as a whole. So one of the reasons why Belgium has just been revving repeatedly is because they have no market access, and what they've done is they've overbuilt over their infrastructure, and they are completely unable to do anything about it. Haven't seen the AI have this problem in a while, but they're just not subbing their railroads, and so if they don't sub their railroads, they'll have a problem. We have been... Great Britain has taken a lot of notice. Becomes the owner? No. I don't think we give that up for 14 infamy. What the hell? Bro, can we trade it to you while this is popped open? No, we're at war, so we can't trade it to you. We got there first, bro. Kick rocks. I know it kicks us into infamy, but this is principle. I don't think we've seen that event roll out that way, but we will try and trade that state to them if we're going to keep getting events like this, but, yeah, we'll see. Also, I believe that's our first election since we got voting, so we now see a very strong and big trade unionist, which is going to be good for passing some of the laws we want to pass, as well as the fact that we probably want to go communism reasonably soon for a variety of reasons, and this is really nice to also get their doubled bonus. 10% workforce ratio, manufacturing industries throughput. We are recomping to be more manufacturing, like, kind of oriented, generally speaking. And so this is going to be quite nice. It's also going to be quite nice for passing graduated taxation little by little. Yep, the truth hurts. And so this is going to be good for us. But this Belgium thing, I think we have been bankrolling them. Yeah, we've been bankrolling for some time. I think we'll just kind of aggressively try and take on their debt too, and just hope that they like restart subsidizing this so that they can get out of that. So the Ottomans were in the Egyptian market, whom we just invited into our market, so now their market is all messed up, which gives us an enormously good opportunity to run an enormous amount of trade routes to and from the Ottomans, and hopefully be able to pull them into our market as well. The Ottomans, very significantly, a lot of countries got changed to have migration controls, so for example, Egypt, migration controls, or closed borders rather. The Ottomans we will be able to siphon off pops from, so getting them into our market would be pretty good, although we are considering you know, starting to not play the market way and go a little bit high infamy, trying to stay under 100, but not necessarily staying under 25, because there's a few things we want to do that are going to take some infamy. However, you know, this is going to be something we're going to do, so we're going to try and run as many trade routes to the Ottomans as we can. Also, kind of maybe significantly, we are the #1 GDP, and we've been so for about an episode now, which is pretty significant. Our population is not close to the #1, but our GDP is. So doing pretty well. As far as the global average SOL, we are the highest at the moment. Okay, it seems like we have a little bit of a bug going on regarding who is the ruler of our country. If we take a look, we see that we are getting, you know, minus infamy from diplomatic mitigation, and this is why we care and notice why our ruler appears to be bugged out. Except when we put in here, we see this is a new ruler and this is the ruler. Maybe we need to wait a tick. Maybe this is the sort of thing, so we'll just let it go for a full tick, you know, to next Monday. But what we should be getting is the literary trait, which is one of the very best traits in the game because it's going to give plus infamy decay, and so this is going to cause our infamy to go down faster. And so what we're going to do is we're going to wait till the Monday here, and we're going to see if this guy gets replaced, which he should, and if he doesn't, which he didn't, what we're going to do is we're going to slot that guy out completely out, and so hopefully this actually replaces the guy with the guy. It does seem to replace the guy with the guy, and now we are getting minus or a ton of, you know, increased infamy decay, which is going to be really spectacular for us, which is off of literary and the diplomatic mitigation. We've kind of stopped every single diplomacy thing we're doing. We're assuming that the Ottomans eventually are going to come around when, you know, the volume of trade goes up, and we're going to be able to pull them into our market relatively easily. But this was like a kind of an interesting bug, as well as something to look out for, you know, on your leaders, because this trait's really, really good if you're trying to play low infamy. So we're probably going to stick with the low infamy because we are going to decay big faster, and so that's going to be nice for us. So because we know we want to go communist, which I think will kind of break our customs union, but oh well, we see that this Nasir fellow is willing to start a movement to enact Council Republic. So what we're going to do is we're going to invite him, let him start the movement. Then once he starts the movement, we will probably promote him to government, and then try and pass as quickly as we can, you know, this out from underneath the Industrialists, because the Industrialists are really not going to like that. They're really not going to appreciate the good old Council Republic. So we'll do only show available, and we'll see it here. A lot of these other guys will kind of start a movement to enact homesteading, or a lot of the other, you know, anarchist, you know, communists, these types, or sorry, anarchists, or communists, I believe will kind of tend to want to start, like if we see here, these guys want homesteading, you know, well, this is the example we have. This guy wants to start homesteading instead of Council Republic. We want Council Republic, although homesteading would be fine. It wouldn't be terrible, but we're going to invite this guy. Actually, well, maybe we go homesteading first. Let's actually take a look at this. We don't have a lot of support for homesteading, unfortunately, because this guy This guy doesn't care. Now, we could promote the communist to, government and then pass homesteading, probably without too much difficulty, although this is going to upset the industrialists quite a lot, and I think that this rev will be somewhat substantive, and so maybe we just go with, kind of the plan of passing Council Republic first and then homesteading, because we want to eventually get our rural folk up, because we actually have a really strong rural folk. So where is the guy? There we go. We'll invite him. We'll let him start his movement, and by strong rural folk, I mean we have rural folk that gives migration attraction. It's not on our Intelligentsia. Our Intelligentsia blows. They get radicals from standard. We don't even get tech. We don't get tech from anyone. We don't get tech from the, Intelligentsia. We don't get tech from the armed forces, and we don't get tech from the industrialists. We get infrastructure, which is kind of an annoying modifier when you lose it. And so we're going to try and lean into these guys, and we'll just see how big the movement is. Please be huge. That'd be fantastic. I don't think it's actually pretty decently sized. So what we can do is we can start enacting this with the 24 support, and then we can promote that guy to government, and then, slot the Intelligentsia in, and then we'll be in good shape. Now, the thing we care about is if we slot this Intelligentsia in, does it change the leader? It doesn't look like it changes the leader back, because we didn't want this guy to be the leader. We wanted, or actually it would be this guy, but we wanted this guy to be the leader because he has literary. So after doing that, first starting the law, doing the law first before we promote to government, and then putting the Intelligentsia in and promoting them to government, this guy's about to get real big happy, up to plus 20. Now that we have this in, it's going to be fantastically easy to pass this law, even though this is going to spark quite a big rev. It's not going to matter because we're going to get Council Republic kind of going here, I think. Or I think it's not going to matter. Maybe we will have to fight a rev. Maybe we'll have to make some moves. But we should get an incredibly fast pass, because not only are we, do we have 90% in terms of pass rate, we also are fully righteous, and we are floating a bunch of extra authority, giving us minus 13% enactment time, minus 25% enactment time. So this should fly. Now, by fly, I mean fly considering the fact that the game's progressing at a relatively slow rate. So it's actually flying, but this isn't flying. That's not flying. We unlock pneumatic tools, which unlocks our ability to build the Cristo Redentor, which we, of course, will do because of theme and also so we can see it on the map. But it's not a very strong building. It just gives, 50 prestige and devout political strength. We don't actually want the devout to be that happy, because they're probably going to be mad at us perma, and so we actually don't want them to gain enough clout to demarginalize, because, But their bonuses are fairly good. If discriminated pops could migrate on Brazil because their intelligentsia is so bad, you would probably want to go state religion, but since they can't, so we're just gonna... Migration's just too important, so we just can't go religious. Also, we're about to get Council Republic, and there's no way that we fail on this. We get political ends? Yeah, okay, sure. Monument Week. The Catholic Circle of Rio de Janeiro has issued a proposal to construct a statue of Jesus atop the mountain. The group has collected a significant sum of money, and here we get just kind of free money. Is this just... We just get the money. Oh, it's not even, per month or whatever. We just, it's just gonna go boop, and, okay, it doesn't even move the bar. But we will be getting Council Republic here, guaranteed good dealsies 100% of the time. We don't even have to call our one time, because we have so much, enactment chance. Which is a little bit rare to get, and it is kind of off the back of us getting a political movement using this guy before promoting him to gov, so we kind of double dip on the amount of approval we're going to be getting. We will be back with the color change of our country. Alright, and here we go. We're about to roll this, and once we roll it, we should get a color change. I'm assuming almost everyone gets color change. We get trade unionist, political strength, legitimacy based on votes, government size allowance, etc., mostly, etc. The big thing is we unlock new things, and do we get a color change? Do we not get a color change? We get a flag change. I mean, I really like the other Brazilian flag. Do we not turn red? Are we, one of the few countries that doesn't turn red? Surely we turn red. Nope, better dead than red. We'll stay green, but we'll get a new flag. Okay, well, we are now, or maybe we have to, it requires that we also switch up off of laissez-faire. Laissez-faire is actually decent right now, so maybe we just hold in and stay on what we're on right now, but we're going to be switching to cooperative ownership. Laissez-faire is kind of okay. The reason why laissez-faire is okay is it's giving us a free money modifier on investment, and this free money modifier, if I'm not mistaken, can overcome the malice that we are experiencing from having a GDP. So as long as the free money modifier is overcoming this, so plus 25% on this is over 100%, it's worth it. But as soon as it gets off of this, which it's going to, like once we get, I think around 450 million GDP, it's around 800 million if you have happy industrialists, but we're not going to have that. And so then we would want to make the swap. We could just make the swap now though to help push migration, because it's going to help SOL, and maybe the SOL is more important than this little bit of investment pool we could be getting. We already have a really built up investment pool, and the investment pool is growing, and so being able to build it up faster is maybe not worth. And so I think actually we are just going to, you know, here's the thing though, we're going to lose a company slot. So we have to lock in our companies for late game, because the way it works, or at least the way it worked in the beta, is you got to keep all your current companies, and it would just take a company away from you. So, or it wouldn't take a company away from you. So we have to decide what companies we want for late game, and do this before we swap over, actually. And by late game, I mean we're almost done here. But we have to... it takes away a slot, but it doesn't de-slot it. So you just are locked in whatever you have. So we'll have to have a little bit of a think on that. So as tempting as it is to try and min-max by acquiring better companies, like by annexing Belgium, we just don't have the time. We're not going to continue the run for that much longer. So I think we're going to say goodbye to the Panama Canal Company. Overall, this 50k is pretty nice, and this trade route competitiveness is also nice, but like the companies getting throughput and construction speed on these is kind of bunk. It's not very useful. And so we're just going to disband this, instead favoring what would be a really good kind of, I think, long-term as the game goes longer and longer, which is generic both wood and rubber. This is going to give us a decent amount of infrastructure, but more importantly, the throughput is really, really valuable on both rubber plantations and wood, because they tend to not get much throughput from economies of scale. We tend to not get bonuses elsewhere, and so this is going to be pretty good, as well as the resources are finite, and eventually you run out of these types of things. We're not close to running out, but this is like eventually super long term, this is something that would happen, and so we're just going to slot these in. They should kind of help towards prosperity, and then we will go for finishing it, you know, and by it I mean the Industrialists, finishing them off. Both these guys support cooperative ownership, and we're gonna have a go. The USA, hearing we were trying to ban capitalism, has decided they want to rumble. We can kind of put in any war goal. We might just want to go conservative and kind of go for war reps, but we see that the USA's military overall is not that strong. Only have a power projection of 12k. We have a power projection of 18k, so like 50% stronger. While we have a weaker navy, I think maybe we could liberate the CSA and just kind of, you know, eternalize our kind of position as the leader of the Americas. They're trying to say no communism. We're trying to say no way. Alright, we got ourselves a right big rumble. Just basically as soon as the maneuvers kind of came in to max thing, we did a ton of sways. They swayed in Germany. This looks like a proper slog, where we have slightly more ships. I think they probably have more power projection because they have overall better technology on the ships, and they might even have a bigger army. We can recruit or mobilize up to 1k troops, kind of seeing over here, and they can recruit up to 700. This is going to be a big war. This is going to be a little bit of a spooky war. We also have on us return Rhinish Wallonia. We don't want to give that up. You know, this is how they were swayed in on, or how Germany was swayed in, and so we're in a bit of an awkward spot. They want to conquer California and Nevada, and they are also regime changing in Brazil. They very much do not approve of the communism, and also they have conquered Libya. Now, regime change in Brazil, that's going to be a little bit hard for them to enforce on us, because we are going to be setting in and defending, and they are going to have to land us to get that. But the other ones maybe won't be so hard. I think that we will probably want to enforce on Germany first to dodge this Rhinish Wallonia type of thing. But I think that we're actually going to save this for next episode. This episode, we've gone communist and we started reforming the economy, not just in terms of like the economic, you know, means of productions, who owns it, this type of thing. We are kind of moving towards cooperative ownership, and we are almost also there. But we have also started to place a greater emphasis on efficiency per pop instead of, efficiency per construction, where you were getting something like efficiency from construction out of, your logging camp type of buildings, which are still wildly efficient. They're still great, but these will be like more efficient per pop. We didn't really get to clear the queue. The queue we had made was huge, and kind of a lot happened. And a lot's going to be happening this next episode, where we have a rumble. Also, the game progresses relatively slow, but I think this is going to be the final showdown for the Americas, and we are going to try and get this in. Now, if we were not running a rev, we would delete a bunch of construction here. I think we'd delete down to 1K, and instead, put a bunch of recruitment in. We're going to kick all these barracks to the front of the queue, probably. This is going to be a bit of a time, but this is going to be next episode. I hope you enjoyed. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, do the YouTube algorithm thing, and have a good day.